Guys, Mr. Bowman here. Today's learning objective is in white and we are learning to form equations. And today's video is the first video where we've gone away from expressions. So we've been looking at expressions for the last wee while. And expressions are just where you've got some numbers like 2x squared. Maybe it was something like 4x plus 1 over 3. Maybe it was something like x plus 2, x plus 3 as a bracket quadratic. Maybe it was x squared plus 10x plus 21. Maybe it would look like those. So we're moving away from expressions and we're moving towards something called equations. And equations do include expressions. So they include the expressions that we've been working on. But there will be one key difference, and that is they will be equal to something. So an example of a pretty basic equation is, let's say, Mr. Bowman, I've got one bag of lollies with 5 chocolate bars in. I've got another one in, so that's also 5 chocolate bars. They combine to get 10. The idea that we have a left-hand side and a right-hand side with an equal sign in the middle is what makes these equations the way they are. So 5 and 5 and 10, these are all expressions, but all of these expressions form this one single equation. And these numbers, 5, 5, and 10, we can also take those out and put in unknown variables or bits of algebra. So regarding that scenario above, so those two 5s, they represented the number of chocolates inside a bag of chocolates that Mr. Bowman had. But let's say I've got 2 bags of chocolates, and the x, that relates to the number of chocolates in each bag. So number of chocolates in each bag. And we know I've got 10 chocolates in total. So we know these here are always balanced. So we could go ahead and quickly figure out that that x is a 5, because 2 times 5 is 10. But we have that in equation there. But to demonstrate the skill a bit more, we're going to work on something called consecutive numbers. So we've got consecutive numbers. Consecutive numbers are numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. We can see they're all next in the sequence. You can also have consecutive even numbers, which where if x is the first number, the next even number would be x plus 2. So for example, 2, we've got to add 2 to get that to 4. You then add another 2, which makes plus 4, to get to 6. We'll then add another 2 to get to the next one, 8. You can also do the same with odd numbers. And they're the exact same as even numbers. If the first odd number, let's say, is 3, to get to the next one, we're going to add 2, and so on, just like what we did with the even numbers. What we're going to do is I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to get rid of the red stuff, and then we're going to get into a few scenarios, and we're going to form a couple of equations regarding this consecutive number knowledge. Okay, guys, we are back, and we've got our 3 questions. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to form an equation. We're not interested in solving this equation today. We're going to learn about that in future videos, but today we're just forming an equation. So question number 1, 2 consecutive numbers sum to 19. So there's a couple things we know. The final answer, that's going to be equal to 19. So that would be the right-hand side of our equation. We know that they sum to 19, which means there's going to be addition. And we know that there's 2 consecutive numbers. If the first number is x, the second number is x plus 1. Just noting, the question didn't really tell us about even or odd numbers. So we're really just assuming it's numbers that are going up in 1. So if the first number is x, the next number after that is x plus 1. So that means we're going to go x plus 1. And that there would be our left-hand side. And I'm just going to get rid of some of that working down the bottom. We can then actually simplify the equation. So if you have a look at these two x's, if you add them together, that will become 2x. And then we've got the plus 1, and we know that is equal to 19. And that there would be our equation for two consecutive numbers that sum to 19. We're then going to look at the next question. We've got two consecutive even numbers. So even numbers is the key thing. We've then got, we know they add to 24, and we know they have a product. So 24, that's nice and easy. So that's going to be equals 24. Product relates to multiplication. And two consecutive even numbers, well, if the first number is x, the next even number is going to be x plus 2. So that there is going to be x times x plus 2. That there is in its factorized form, so you'd probably be correct if you did that. You could also expand this, so x times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, and that there combines to get 24. And if you expanded that, you also have an equation that represents that scenario. The final one is one we haven't really looked at before, but firstly there's three numbers, so that's going to be a bit more complicated. They do sum to 75, so the summing is a plus sign, and we know it's going to be equal to 75. And the other one here we've got is divisible by 5. So let's have a think. If x is the first number, the next number divisible by 5 will be x plus 5, as opposed to adding 2 for even and odd numbers. The one after that, or the third one, would be x plus 10. So all of those three numbers, x, x plus 5, x plus 10, they would be three consecutive numbers which are divisible by 5. You then add them together, because we've been told to via the sum. There's going to be x plus 5 plus x plus 10. And you wouldn't get a mark at this stage here, because we can see that there are lots of x's scattered around our equation, so we just need to simplify them. So we can see we've got 1x, 2x, 3. So that's going to be 3x. And then we've got plus 5 and plus 10, which will be plus 15. And that there is equal to 75. So that last one there would be an equation of three consecutive numbers that are divisible by 5. And they sum to 75. So guys, hopefully you found this video useful. Really important. We are now shifting away from expressions. We're now moving towards equations. And they have their own tricks that we need to get onto. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Now let's get into heaps and heaps of practice.